with the Ratchet family. I didn't do this version of the joke when you guys saw it, but the idea of like, you know, my family's very dramatic and it's so addicting being in that drama.
Oh yeah, baby. I'm all about that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which is why I feel like I'm addicted to Donald Trump. Like
that's new.
The tariffs, we're canceling the tariffs. The tariffs are back on again. It's just like, could you imagine, you know, like, you know, that we can all agree that Donald Trump is the most toxic motherfucker in the world. Like, well, let's just, even if you like the guy, he's toxic. You know, he's not going to be like peaceful, right?
No.
Like just to be around, right? Like imagine being his family members. Like, you know, like, imagine the most toxic family member you have is also the leader of the free world.
And the most visible villain in the world next to Putin. Yeah.
And you got to be like, fuck, everything I have is riding on you.
Yeah.
Go, Dad.
It's time to get wild.
That was wild. Welcome to That Was Wild. I'm Adam Macias, and this episode is going to be wild. This is a show where we celebrate the wild sides of life, and this week's episode, well, we are back from just rocking the Los Angeles comedy scene with the Teresa Lo episode. Boy, the crazies really did come out of the shadows. The trolls came out of the caves last week with all the social media videos, and we are going to talk about the aftermath of all of that with the very special Bethany Michaels this week. What's up, Bethany?
Hey, I'm special in all the cool ways.
All the best ways.
Yeah. Both disabled and non.
And that is just a shirt you're wearing for anybody watching.
My boobs are actually better than what's printed on this
really?
shirt. Yes, if you really
shout out, ladies.
Yeah, shout out, ladies. But if you really look at it, the nipples are kind of like this on the shirt.
Yeah, you have to make sure whenever you wear those, they have to be like ironed
positioned
out.
on, but like my boobs are better than what's on.
I wonder if I'm gonna get a strike from YouTube from this shirt. I don't know.
I'll do that.
It'll be fine.
It's a heat map version of it.
Exactly.
So,
is that what that is?
Yeah, it's like
a predator. You're being predatorized.
Yes.
Right now.
Yeah.
This
is what. Speaking of the LA comedy scene, this is what
the very relevant
men see when you wear clothes.
That's true. Holy shit.
They like just.
Predator. Yes.
And they can X-ray what your body would look like. I once said I have never thought I had been catcalled, but I guess I just don't know what a catcall is. And
meow.
Yeah, I was like, no one's ever meowed at me on the street.
What do you think?
Well, catcalls can go from like, hey, I'm gonna fuck you to like, hey, you're beautiful.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm like,
yeah.
Yeah, she is pretty.
you thought it was somebody else,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. So in my mind, I've never been catcalled.
Yeah.
Well, then of course, like today, I wear this shirt and I'm seeing like the eyes, and I'm like, oh, what's going on?
Even eyes can be a catcall.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm like,
yeah.
What's going on? Like, you know, because I see the eyes.
It draws the attention for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, my whole life, and probably a lot of women can relate to this. I developed very early.
Okay.
I started wearing bras in the 2nd grade.
Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And so like I developed a way of like hiding my body with clothes.
Right.
Like wearing like clothes that were like baggy.
Started hunching over.
Truly like hunching to like hide my body. Jeez. Because like from such a young age, it was very visible that and like, yeah, like even like adult men would comment.
It's pretty creepy.
It is creepy, but that's...
Oh, she's going to be a looker.
Yes.
It's such a weird thing to say from an adult, adult man.
And like, you're a little girl like,
you're just imagining what they're going to look like. It was a weird thing growing up, at least for my generation. We had a lot of men counting down the days for the Olsen twins to turn 18. It was
my headphones fell off. I forgot about that.
It was such a wild time of like, wow, we had this, we had these shock jocks.
Calendars.
The internet was invented just in time for a website with a digital clock counting down for the Olsen twins turning 18.
And it's so delusional because that many men were like, can't wait to fucking jerk off once they're 18.
It's just like, why? It's not like they were going to do nude scenes.
Exactly.
It's not like they were going to do anything with that. All they were going to do is kill Heath Ledger, you know?
Yeah.
They didn't.
Together.
Yeah. Look what they did. They were able to get prescribed Prozac enough to give it to their
friend,
the greatest actor of all time.
R.I.P. Heath Ledger.
So look what our countdown gave us, guys.
Exactly. That was a countdown to death, actually. We just didn't even know.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they did that with like Kylie Jenner too, though.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. They do it with all of them. I mean, that's the thing with like the TikTok houses.
Right.
That's a big thing with all of those. Like, it's just gross. But
yeah, we got on a side tangent.
Super side tangent because if you didn't listen to last week's episode, we talked to Teresa Lo, who is a amazing comedian who was violently attacked by a hacky comedian, Ian Ira Russo. One thing I was learning that in my social media posts, I didn't really post his name mainly because I didn't want to give him more fucking search engine optimization
infamy. Yeah.
But I probably should just because I should be saying his name more often. But yeah, Ian Ira Russo, which, 3 names, bad look. Ian Ira Russo attacked Teresa. There was so much evidence, yet all of the charges were dropped because he's a rich person and was probably able to allegedly get the charges dropped. But we're here talking to Bethany about it, mainly because, one, she was in the documentary that Teresa made that sparked this whole stalking incident with Teresa and Ian. Literally, she's like the second shot after you see Ian's face, where he is talking about stalking another comedian as a joke. The next segment is how it's unsafe for women in comedy. And Bethany is like the second person to be interviewed about it.
Yeah.
Talking about how maybe one club in particular isn't safe.
I honestly said multiple
clubs.
Yeah.
So let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts about the podcast? Any notes?
No, I loved it. I mean, it was so good to see Teresa because I haven't run into her, and like I know people have been so fucking shitty to her. Like, for her to return to comedy.
Yes.
It's
truly.
already a scary thing when you've been attacked in like a place that's already intimidating.
Yeah.
And then for people to be making stupid jokes when you're there or having the audacity to come up to you and say shitty things too. So like to see her on your podcast, know she's doing well, know she has like big things on the horizon with her bar opening. Like that's good to see because like she is a go-getter. She always has been.
She's a hustler for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Worked for Hustler.
Work a hustler, been a hustler.
Yeah, exactly. And so, but then it was like it really made me sad to like know how many people have failed her.
Yeah.
Not just what I feel like I failed her in the comedy community.
And me as well.
And we've talked about this.
Yeah.
But also like the city and the county and like it just keeps happening, and it's like so unfortunate because this is a microscope on what happens to anyone who's different in the comedy community.
Yeah.
You get so burnt out from being treated like this that you stop.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the worst.
Yeah. Someone's
voice is completely erased from the comedy community. For why?
Because they feel alone, like no one is supporting them.
Yeah.
It's just so wild too. Like even like what I really enjoyed too, like hopefully she feels good even with the support of this podcast and the clips people reposting. That was fun to see, like people reposting it and sharing it.
There is a large group that supports her.
Yeah.
And honestly, it's so interesting to know that like how LA was trying to oust Ian Emma Russo to Austin.
Yeah.
And Austin was like, no.
Like, please, no.
And we won't accept it.
Which is so funny too.
Yeah.
Which is so funny.
It's so funny to me because in LA we joke about like Austin being the incel mecca.
Yeah, where the canceled comedians
go.
They're
happily.
like, no, please, not another one.
Yeah.
Like, we don't want them, you know?
Yeah, and it is not another one.
Yeah,
because as like scary as this instance is, every woman I know in comedy has a similar like a man who's been crazy to them in one way or another, or it's just crazy how often the mask slips.
And I think that's the unfortunate part, like with comedy too. It's like you show, this is what I was trying to tell with Teresa too. Of like in comedy, you're speaking your truth, and very often you show your true colors in those moments of like when you're trying to be funny. Like yesterday in a mic, like I did an Asian accent pretending to be a white American cosplaying as a J-pop band. So I was like being
funny.
a character of a character, and I was just like,
actually,
no, I don't think that was good. Like, I don't think you know what? I feel bad about that. Let's all pretend I didn't do that, you know?
Are a deeply compassionate person and you are like, oh, I'm not a racist. You know, it's like, that's why we go to open mics, because sometimes you're like, this is going to be funny. And then you say it out loud and you're like, sorry. I'm actually so sorry. Please forget I ever said any of this. Like, I will not say it again, please.
Like, please don't. You know what? Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Good people go, sorry, never mind, sorry.
Yeah.
Shitty people go, I'm going to keep doing this.
Yeah. Because it's about listening. You know, it's a conversation. You know, I think not enough people realize like it is a conversation. Like you are talking to people. It's not a song, you know? Like it's not a
poem or you can go do that medium somewhere else.
Totally.
There is no like back and forth. But a lot of people in comedy forget, and I say people, men, forget this isn't therapy.
Yes.
Like, you're here to make people fucking laugh.
True.
And a lot of them show up and they don't want to listen to the feedback that the audience is giving them. Mm-hmm. They get mad.
Totally.
And it's like, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
Why do you want to come to a space where it's meant for feedback to not get feedback?
100%. Like, I had a friend of mine very recently, like they had said like the word slavery on stage, and it was like saying, like the joke was saying, like robots are going to take over and like they're
enslaved,
and somebody got triggered by just the word slavery, and it's like, ugh, like you didn't listen to the actual joke, and they got mad, and they were like, this is why we have Trump, because liberals like you are so like, and it was just like,
okay, hold on.
It's like, oh, like, wow, okay, like you got so mad by that, and it's just like, okay, well, all right, weird thing to get mad about, like, weird jump, because then they start getting mad about like trans people in sports, and it's just like, okay, like weird thing to get mad about there. Why don't you like? First off, this person is drunk and half listening to you.
So all they heard was the word. And they're like, bleh.
Yeah. You're like, bleh, you know, like, and they're like literally thinking about how they're going to fuck their like boyfriend later.
Yeah.
Like they're half listening. You are just fucking ornamentation. Literally chill, bro. And then secondly, like, wouldn't it be funnier to be like, okay, cool. Like, oh, so you don't like the word slavery and you don't think robots are slaves. Cool. Like, do you not have Siri on your phone?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you play with them a little bit and like get the audience on? Like, you have this opportunity to be even funnier and like create another scene and write on stage. Like, why don't you like this is
the thing.
Do the comedy.
Yeah.
You know, like you have so much things to do here.
Try.
But then like, oh, nah, I'm gonna take my toys and go in my sandbox. Nah, you didn't like my
yeah.
Like, okay, all right. Like, and then they walk the room after that.
Exactly. Like, and by the way, you ruined the fucking vibe for everybody else.
It's like, cool.
How many times have you been in a show, you're like about to go up or you're later on the lineup and someone goes up and does that shit and ruins the vibe.
Totally. 100%.
Just makes everyone uncomfortable. And then you got to fight that much harder to get the room back. And it's like, what are you doing? Are you in comedy to make people laugh? Or are you...
Just for you?
Do you just want a microphone? Because guess what? People go stand on the side of the street and yell at a microphone all the time for free.
100%.
Why are you investing in open mics?
Yes.
But like me and Alina experience this currently and have experienced it previously where men hate us. They don't like the way that we run our mic.
Oh, right.
They don't like our comedy. They don't like that we say, don't do a rape joke.
Yes.
And yet they make a point of taking up space in our room.
Yeah.
I.e., Ian Russo.
So let's talk about that. So I had mentioned on last week's podcast that he was kicked out of the Glendale room.
Yeah.
You were the people that literally kicked him out because he had said some problematic shit at that mic. The owner of the club was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And you finalized the movement there.
Exactly. Like, to go into more detail, I want to give credit where credit is due. Sean Casey is the owner of the Glendale room, also the owner of Lyric. He's a very busy man.
Yeah.
And yet caught wind of Ian Russo and how Ian was acting at comedy clubs well before what happened to Teresa.
Well before.
It was a
good year and a half.
It was a good chunk of time. The documentary had come out.
Yeah.
They're dealing with it. But Ian's still just being Ian in the comedy scene as he's been for a while. We all know him. We all have experienced how annoying he is and how like his comedy fucking sucks and he talks about stalking women.
Yes.
He has weird jokes where he's like, I need a black wife because that's the only type of person that can keep me in line. And you're like, why would you do that to a black woman? Like, like, shut up. You know, like.
Why would you do that to a black woman?
Yeah. What?
Why would you do that to anyone?
Why would you do that to anyone, specifically a black woman?
Yeah.
They've been through enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean was like, hey, I've heard some things about this guy. Should we ban him?
Oh.
And me and Alina were like, yeah, he's a little bit weird. But the problem is there's like 20 of him. It's not just Ian.
Yeah.
We had other people that we were actively dealing with who would come in and like invade our space basically. Like they know how we run our mic and they're like, I'm going to go there and fuck with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go there and push the boundary.
Yeah.
So we told Sean like, hey, we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But just so you know, like he's just like a lot of fuckers who show up here.
Yeah.
And then it was like a week after that, he comes up and does a Harvey Weinstein joke where he's like, he wasn't that bad. I don't like all these things. Like, I understand why he did what he did. And the room was like, fuck.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And you know what's funny about your room is that when people do problematic things, you even try to make it fun where you cluck a chicken like a rubber, like a rubber chicken, and they're like, stop it, right?
Yeah.
So you still try to like, hey, like open mic, everybody's free to try to say something, but like if you say something we don't like, we're gonna try to do something funny to like censor you.
Yeah, we're gonna signal, hey, you're kind of crossing a line.
Yes.
This isn't comedy anymore.
Yeah.
Pay attention. Like we're trying to signal, listen to the audience because they'll say weird things and the audience pulls back and they don't recognize that.
Totally.
That takes like skill to know when the audience is pulling back.
100%.
So when you just hear clock, 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 then it's like, wait, what the fuck's going on?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
And like, it's not that disruptive either. So you can recover and keep going.
And it's still a fun thing.
Yeah.
You know? Like, yeah, it's
keeps
like
the audience like,
oh,
you know,
exactly.
Yeah. But like, so he does the Harvey Weinstein joke. Alina tells him that night, don't do that joke again here. Right. We just say don't do it here. Because there's millions of other places you can go fucking do that shit in LA. And no one's going to censor you.
Yeah. Fourth Walls would love it.
Fourth Wall, Hollywood Comedy, Accidental Chaos. The places that Ian's still allowed to go.
Yeah. Technically, Fourth Wall is not. We should say that.
Yeah. Sorry, Fourth Wall.
Yeah. Technically, yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
But
for now.
Because how soon will he slither in, or who else are they protecting?
Yeah.
Who's just like him?
Yeah.
I think that's the thing I want to impose on people is like, we failed Teresa.
Yeah.
And there are more Teresas.
So, in which we will get to, because the outpouring of people who came to me after this episode and talked to me more about their experiences with other comedians and other clubs and how lack of support there is for women in comedy. And even, let's put a pin in that. There was literally a comedian this week that was having a mental breakdown publicly and put Teresa on a list that he found attractive. This is the crazy thing. Like, this was happening last week as we were posting an episode of Teresa. Like, I should have put this in the beginning of the episode. Like, it's been just such a wild week.
You've been battling douchebags in the comments.
Yes, battling literally like racist fucks in the comments saying like Teresa should be thankful for Ian for making her slightly relevant for a second. And it's like, and then on top of that, we have Teresa being objectified by a person having like a mental breakdown. He said that he had a crush on her, platonic or otherwise. It's still weird.
It's fucking weird.
So weird.
Ariana, who is also a Comedy Store person, she's like coming up, amazing Balkan comic. She was on the list.
Oh, she was.
And she posted like, hey, I hope this person gets help. No man should create a list.
Yes.
Because it's scary.
Yeah. Lists are bad. And by the way, Ian famously created lists. He created top 50 lists of comedians. It would always put himself somewhere on the list, by the way.
Always on the list. And he would, if you can go find these, but whatever, he would do things like put Matt Rife as number one. Like, yeah, motherfucker. You, the guy who sold out $6 million worth of arenas or more, and you're like, this guy's a good comic. Yeah, we're fucking aware. And every woman he'd put on the list, which was like 6 of them, he would be like,
I never actually looked at them. That's so funny.
But that's the thing. The comedy community would promote his list. People would be like,
obviously,
they thought it was funny.
Yeah.
They would be like, I'm on his list.
That was the thing with Ian, is that like with the podcast last week, she had showed me some clips of the podcast, and the way these comedians would talk about Ian, it was very like, like we just kind of kept him around as a joke. Like, we would just have him on sometimes like as a joke. Very forgiving of him, like very putting distance of him after the fact. After the fact. Like, oh, he was on the show because you would, had this list, and it was like, it was just always around, and we just kind of had them, and then, and then he does something terrible. But it's like, yeah, it's kind of like that school shooter that we're just like, hey, that's great. Like, oh, here he is again. There's that guy. He's the fucking trench coat guy. And then that trench coat guy shows up with a fucking shotgun. And we're like, wow, I can't, and then we do the interview.
He did tell me not to come to school today, but I didn't know why.
And then we cut to us on the fucking Channel 5 News being like, well, yeah, we've always been a little weirded out by him. It's like, yeah, dude. Like, well, like, of course. Like, it's the same situation, except we're all the class clown, you know?
Like, exactly. We're in a school of class clowns, and we're like, we're all going to die.
Yeah.
Like,
so we're all constantly trying to relieve pressure, except none of us are like none of us are like the class presidents being like, no, we should do something.
Yeah. And none of us are the class police that are like, I'm going to do something.
Like, we need a treasurer. We need some fucking nerd to be like, guys, get rid of him.
Me and Alina are dictators. That's why we said, don't like this system, gonna go make my own.
Yeah, exactly.
I really wish we could challenge the idea in comedy that just hanging around for 10 years, bombing for 10 years gets you to a point where you're booked on shows, or that like the booker at these clubs knows your name. And it's like, that's the delusion, right? Is that like he really thought he went on a sold out hour tour. Come to find out, he got shut down in multiple cities that he went to run his hour.
Wait, really?
Yes. He went to like Indiana because he was traveling on the way to New York to film his special.
Oh.
And like, I was told this, right?
Okay.
Because I was in the documentary. Lots of people will come and tell me things about Ian.
Right.
Which is fucking weird because like I don't care about this guy. But someone came to me and was like, yeah, he went to run his hour in like Indiana and it was so bad customers were leaving that the bar shut him down and said, you need to go. Because they were trying to save their business. And he's posting online like, I just had a great show in Indiana. When they didn't even let him run his full hour. But it's that delusion of like, oh, Booker.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, Bookers know my name. I have the best list in the city. All these popular comics share me when I say that they're the best comic in the world. We should not be rewarding mediocre behavior.
Yeah.
We should not be rewarding someone who just hangs around long enough to get something. Like, we should be rewarding like the true artists, the true talented people, regardless of gender.
Totally. 100%. 100%.
And that's what's so frustrating to me is I'm like, why do we allow mediocrity wherever we are?
It's hard because, you know, with Hollywood, we're kind of told this story of like, we're told two stories. I think we're told like, you know, you show up and if you're amazing, you'll rise to the top. And all you got to do is just be amazing and you'll be handed everything from the grunt. And then when you get here, it's like, well, kid, that's not how it works, right? That's not how it works. But then you buy into the Hollywood story. And the real Hollywood story that we're all told as artists when we're here is like, well, you just got to grind. And one day you just be here. And Rodney Dangerfield didn't make it till he was 50 years old.
Yeah, you just got to go to 5 mics a day.
You got to grind and grind and grind and grind and grind and grind. And eventually everybody else will just fail and you'll win.
Eventually everyone will just get married and like live a life, kill themselves, die of cancer, and you'll be the only one left.
And you'll be the only, and that's how
you'll be the booker of all the things.
So it's not the cream rising to the top, it's just everyone dies.
Yeah, I have said,
and you just survive.
I've said to multiple people, we're all just cats with our nails in a tree, and whoever just hangs on the fucking longest gets a Netflix special.
Yeah.
Truly, we're all just like.
We're all that Mr. Beast game where we're putting our hand on the car.
Yes, for a Netflix special.
For a Netflix special.
We're all just like, I'm going to piss and shit myself for days. And then other comics are like, he's hardcore because he pisses and shits himself outside the fourth wall.
Yeah.
He's at every mic and he never uses the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
But another question I would love to ask you as a male comedian and wondered if you've ever considered this. Why are there women-only open mics?
So, you know, I was thinking about this, and I think especially, what, the Zebra Room just opened one on Friday. So I was just thinking about this, and I think literally I was like, yeah, no, I think this is good because I've been, I've been to like the Fourth Wall and stuff where it's been just men, and like, it's so funny of like the second dick joke happens or the second like porn gets mentioned and we're all riffing about porn and it's like, well, I was going to talk about some real shit, but like, I guess we're all riffing about porn. And it's just like, it gets real dark. It gets real dark. And I'm like, I'm looking over at the woman in the room.
The
one woman, if there is a woman.
Yeah.
And I'm just like looking and she's not laughing. Or she's smiling, and I'm like, "Is that a real smile?
Or are you scared?
Like, are you scared? Because it's like the bathroom's not a good smelling bathroom, right? And that's always a sign of whether it's a good safe place. I'm just gonna be honest with
100%.
you. Like if they treat the bathroom nice, like there's literally disgusting rags just hanging out on the ground. You know, like that's probably they don't give a shit if the woman is how the woman is sitting down in there.
Exactly.
So, anyways, and I'm just thinking like, yeah, they probably do deserve. I was thinking about this literally this week of being like, yeah, like they probably do need a place where like women can be able to like have a space to do comedy where I don't know. I don't know. I thought about it and I felt like I was like, yeah, that's a good idea. Let me just say this. Maybe you can help me, but let me just continue with the thought. I know what it's like to be in a male only mic, and I have been like, this is not okay. Like, I know when it's just like, yeah, I would not feel good if my wife was here or like you were here with me.
You would be worried.
I would be like, I'm not laughing here. I don't feel good about these jokes that are being made.
And I don't want to participate.
Like, I'm going to do my best to elevate the room and talk about maybe something related, but then move over to something else. And hopefully the vibe shifts a little bit.
Come to do what you actually came to do.
But like, once we really start diving into porn, like, that is like what we're deeply focused on. And just like, not every woman wants to hear men talk about porn all the time.
Well, and it's like, it's usually not that funny. It's like what you said. It's like, it's either something we've all heard a million fucking times.
Yeah.
Or it gets real dark real fast.
Yeah.
And I think you're hitting on it where it's like, we hate women. But when women are in the room at an open mic, there is a level of attention that tends to happen that like shifts towards the performer.
Yeah.
And like, that's the thing. Like, nobody wants to be in a room where no one's listening to them. No one wants to be in a room where like they're not getting real feedback.
Yeah.
And by that, I mean, like, if you're a woman who goes into an open mic and you're the only woman there, a lot of times you go to try to make a joke or practice a set and nobody's listening. Like, they don't even give you the respect of like hearing what you're saying. And so you either get dead silence or then they pick up on something you said and then the next person goes up and starts saying awful things about women. And then you have to sit through the rest of the mic of people being like, yeah, I'm a lawyer and I love defending guys who get accused of sexual assault. Right. I've been in a room with that.
Jesus.
And this is a perfect example. Like, when I moved to LA, the very first open mic I went to was at the Hollywood Comedy because I lived very close.
Okay.
I was the only woman in the room. I was the first one to go up, and to dead silence. I did a set that I've done repeatedly in Utah and Chicago. I do it in LA, dead silence. And I was like, oh, okay. And then every man after me did rape jokes, did some sort of like something that like was so awful that I've never heard, even in Utah, a red state.
Yeah.
In Chicago, never heard these kinds of things. And I walked out of that open mic telling myself I made the biggest mistake of my life moving to LA.
Wow.
And that's the experience that so many fucking women have.
Yeah.
Where they walk into rooms and they go, oh my God, am I bad at comedy? Did I make a mistake doing comedy? And it's like, no, actually you are sitting in a room where no one's listening to you and they're just thinking about how they can hurt you. And that's why women open mics exist, because you can go and people actually listen to you.
Yeah.
You get real feedback. People are going to laugh.
Yeah.
They're listening. And it's like, that's why men like you or like other great men we know, like Uriah or Avery or David Jackson, like right. You guys seek out rooms like ours or rooms like Liz Zagoni's where it's like, people are listening to you.
Yeah.
Because you also experience that same thing, just maybe not the violence of it, where it's like you go to an open mic and nobody fucking listens to you.
Yeah.
And you're like, why did I even come here? Why did I even try? And that's the problem I have with like the way that we run open mics around here is like, what are we doing this for? If we're not trying to help each other craft, if we're not trying to listen and like give real feedback, if we're just a boys club, you know, like the reason I asked you this question is I was once at a women mic at Dow.
Okay. Yeah. Which famously like is a female
owned club, you know, but they have mics every night of the week. It's only Monday that it's like exclusively women. It's for a safe space.
Yeah.
And one night I was there and I'm performing. Okay. I need you to know that I paid for my time. I'm on the stage. A man walks in and Bobby, the owner, she walks up to him like very quietly, you know, like, hey, come back tomorrow. We have an open mic every day of the week, but tonight's for women only.
Gotcha.
And he's like, that's fine. I want to watch. She said, I appreciate that. We're trying to create a safe space. We need you to leave. He goes, fine. Fuck all of you. I'm not going to book any woman on any show then. And like goes to storm out. And I like, because now at this point, when he's like, no, I want to stay, you know, everyone's watching. Like they're not even listening to me. So I'm just like looking at him. And as he like explodes and walks out, I was like, don't worry. We don't need your help getting booked. And then all the women were like, I'm so glad you said something.
Yeah.
Because like this man comes into a space that's not meant for him, tells the owner of the establishment no.
Yeah. Meanwhile, he's probably some like fucking open micer. He's an open micer. Who are you booking?
Exactly. And also, fuck you. It's like, yeah, maybe there aren't men only mics, but they might as well be.
Yeah.
They might as well say no mic. Girls allowed.
Yeah. It's open mic. You know what? By the way,
open men.
Open Michelles. That's what we should be calling them.
Open Michelles. For the female open.
For the female only.
Yeah.
Open Michelles.
I like that.
No, you don't. That's bad. Come on. It's bad.
Yeah. It feels like pink washing.
Yeah. Let me just go back to the idea of female open mics real quick, because it did make me think about having a woman in the room, like at like a primarily male heavy, bro heavy, like fourth wall or something like that. Like what I will notice is like, yeah, when you like, especially when a woman is in the room, especially if it's like woman hate joke and it's like, oh, she didn't like that. And it's like, that'll get a laugh.
Yeah.
And it's like,
they use her as a prop.
Use that as using her as a punchline. And the woman's just like, you know, like, and then the woman's got her whole material is then kind of responding to that. A woman told me this later that like she made a joke about this guy who literally is having a mental breakdown this week. And he didn't like it. He obsessed about it for like 3 months, came back and and said, hey, I wrote this joke about it was in response to your joke. And here it is. And then she was like, that's all you got?
Yeah, exactly.
And it wasn't even that good.
3 months later.
But 3 months later, obsessed about the joke. Like that. So not only are these open mics are very small. Usually it's like 6 people. So it's like very tight. It's just a tight room. Like
you see everybody.
Yeah. Like we were mentioning before when you came on before of like, hey you.
Am I messaging you on Tinder?
Like that's a weird thing that's happening in this space, right? And then, you know, on top of that, these are insecure nerds that never got enough attention at home, that, you know, suffered some sort of physical violence, sexual violence, that, you know, have some sort of compulsion to make people laugh on stage in a microphone, that are artists, that are just like probably not, there is some sort of mental unwellness to be on. And they have, you know, and on top of that, they are horny and single, you know, and they see a woman, any woman, or see somebody, you know, literally, yeah. And it's just like, and they also know that like making a dick joke will get them attention, and it's all part of posturing and shit. So there's so many psychological things, and maybe the woman they're not experienced enough or have the yes-anding skills to be able to bat it off, or want to even focus on that, or they don't have that comedic style to do that. So yeah, like a woman-only space where it's like they don't necessarily have to have, this is what it is. It is the male gaze. Literally, it is that.
Yeah.
Like the fucking predator gaze. Even if there is like lesbians or whatever, people, like it's not going to be.
Who are sexually interested in you.
Yeah.
They're not going to treat you in that way.
And maybe they are. I don't know.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know. I don't know enough about that. But
I mean, truly. We have creeps still.
You know what I mean? Like, I guess I won't put a blanket statement on that, because
the male gaze, I like that.
It's probably the male gaze, right? Like, I think it's got to be that, right?
Right. Like we know it's the patriarchy, but what's the like symptom of the patriarchy that's causing this, like you said, psychological posturing and the like?
Yeah.
Just having a woman in the room shifts.
It totally does.
Everything.
I used to do kickboxing.
Ooh, me too.
Oh yeah, nice. And I was pretty close with my trainer. It was like a kickboxing class. And I was like kind of talking to my trainer one day. He's like, oh, what do you think of this girl? And she was a pretty attractive girl. And he knew he was engaged. I was engaged. And he was like trying to bro out with me. He's like, oh yeah, like, you know, I like when she's around. You know, like having hot girls in the class because, you know, it makes us men like perform better. Like makes us like, we like to.
Like peacock.
Yeah, like peacock. And it was like, you know, it's like, well, he's not wrong. You know, like it is like, yeah, there's something about
competition.
There's like a, you know, like we want to, you know, like it's just a little bit of like, just when, I don't know, there's something about a peacock. Like we do, not necessarily like.
I wonder if it's still like caveman brain.
Totally.
It's like, I must procreate before you do.
I just want to be, it's a competition of like, I want to be the best. Some sort of like if somebody's going to be watching me that I want them to see me watch, it could be a talent booker, could be my wife. I will perform better.
I agree. And you know what? There is a type of woman who likes to be the only woman in the room. And I think it's that too.
Yeah, the pick-me's.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like they actively seek out rooms where they're the only woman because they like to be that propped up, ooh, I'm going to chase after you, or I'm going to say a dick joke and point at you. And they're like because it's the attention they get.
There's a lot of those that go to comedy shows specifically. They sit in the front row. They love that shit.
Yeah, and that's like a lot of like.
And shout out, you great comedy audiences. Great.
Love to have you in the room.
I got a show next week. Come to we have a show tonight.
Yeah, exactly, right? Come tonight, come Monday.
Let's quickly pivot to thank you so much for sharing your perspective on the Ian shit. You know, hopefully, Teresa, best of luck for the civil case, and hopefully, you know, we were able to, you know, give her a little bit more love.
And the new business.
And the new business, which I'm looking forward to participating in whatever form she'll let me in the next this next couple months. But you know, like we were saying, the crazies came out for this, but on top of that, it just made it more relevant. Because there was a guy that kind of lost his mind, and he actually was on my live show 2 months ago in March, and we had been kind of friendly before, and I felt the compulsion to try to help him out by like calling him out. It was like put up or shut up for me, because I was putting out a podcast being like, we need more to protect our community, and like there was this guy literally putting women on a list being like, I think you're hot, or I have a crush on you. And I'm like, I have to do something. Like I am putting something out there in the world being like, I have to do this. I have to do this. So I was like, I'd be a fucking hypocrite if not. And I did.
And I'm proud of you for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You know, I think I probably would have said something to him already, because I knew he was not in the most mental health place. And I know we're being vague. I just don't want to like put him on blast, because I know literally he is not mentally well.
He's not doing well.
He's not mentally
people
well.
Are like scared. They want to take care of him. And
yes.
And we, as two people who have experienced our own mental health problems, we have family members who have crashed out publicly.
Yes. And I have purposely crashed out. This is what I was telling Bethany before, of like, I have had a crash out where I thought I was in the Truman Show, and I was writing on my journal. Like I have journals where like it was complete gibberish, and I thought like everybody in the world was against me, and people were trying to kill me. And I was recognizing that this guy was going through this. You know, granted, I had to literally blow up my life and like move out of the situation and
fix it yourself.
Fix it myself, and like I was able to get out of it without harming myself. But I was like, I can see where this is going.
Yeah.
And I was able to reach out. I wanted to reach out to him because I was like, this is a crash out, dude. You need to fucking do something, right? And he put me on blast being like, you sound triggered.
Oh, you're look at the little pussy boy like bothering me in my DMs. And that's why I was like, fuck, you know, like I have to say something too now.
Yeah.
Because that's my friend.
Like, mind you, he's like, maybe 100 pounds lighter than me.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, buddy.
And me too. Yeah, I think we're both taller and bigger than him.
I'm just like, okay, buddy. Like, all right. Like, people are struggling with, I think it's like, it's like, this is a weird thing. It was like, he's probably struggling with his masculinity. And there's a lot of like, he's flexing about how many times he's going to the gym. It's like, by the way, gym is not therapy. Therapy is very important. You need to go get therapy. But this is like we were talking about before, of like, this is one of many people in in this community of like who are troubled. This is the problem with, and I was talking to Teresa about this earlier. After the podcast, we got a chance to, decompress about all this. And I don't think she'll mind saying this, is like, why do you think stand-up comedians, the early stages of it, have so many crazies, whereas like maybe improv does not? And me personally is that it's literally a money barrier, because with improv, you have to pay for classes and they're like $500. And yes, you might get like a rich, crazy person that can buy maybe Ian could do this, but I doubt he would.
In the clown community.
Right.
Yeah.
Who can a UCB class is $500 a class. So
there's
in order
to entry.
There's a barrier to entry to like build up. And so the further you get along, and if you want to get on a Herald team that eventually leads to all this, like you're dropping like, close to $5,000 eventually to eventually get on a performance level to where you're considered a professional, right? Whereas like an open mic, you just need $5. Sometimes not even that. It's why it's easier.
And to me, I love that aspect.
Yeah.
But it definitely limits safety.
Totally.
Like, I hear what you're saying, and I think that's brilliant that it's like the barrier to entry is what like kind of narrows in on like, you got to be serious, or you got to at least be like willing to participate in a way that's like within the rules.
Yeah.
Whereas like in stand up, you can find those places where you can be as awful as you want to be, because there's no consequences and there's no barrier to entry. And that is unfortunate, because I don't want there to be a barrier to entry, but
there shouldn't be.
That's why we're all fucking cats in the tree, because
it's literally like we need to like cats in the tree, hand on the fucking Corvette. That's the part of it that is speaking to the Hollywood part of like, you show up and you're born talented, and you stay here and you get plucked away and you're amazingly talented, and you're like, oh, you're talented. Come over here. Which is like not true. What you really need is a UCB, and you need to develop a community, and you need to be taught like, hey, don't fucking say that. Otherwise you'll turn a room.
Yeah.
You need to learn to listen.
Be house trained. What happened at your fucking show.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be able to like, you need to learn the rules of comedy a little bit, and like learn some tricks, and like, which is what you learn through time, but if you just go to the free mics the whole time, you just keep beating your fucking head and like, never have a real discussion, and like you write a joke and you keep fucking bombing and bombing and bombing and bombing and bombing, and you never learn why it's bombing, because you just go to the free mics the whole time and no one's telling, and you're not listening to like why.
Yeah.
Even if your hand is on the Corvette and everybody dies, and if you win the Corvette,
now what?
You didn't learn how to drive it.
You don't actually have a license.
Yeah, you don't have a license.
Yeah.
You didn't learn how to drive it.
Yeah.
You might be able to get in the car, you're going to fucking crash it out. Like,
you're going to look like Trump. Computers. Wow.
Oh, computer. Wow.
Computer. I would love to hypothesize like, what's the solution to this?
I just think like it's all about betterment. Like, I think it's like we're in a comedy boom right now. I think of this moment in comedy is a lot like when I was a big fan of collecting bugs in school. Like comedy.
Okay, take me there.
Okay, so comedy is like a nerdy fucking thing, right?
Yeah, it's basically a step above community theater.
Yeah, it's just such a nerdy thing. But right now it's cool, right? But when I was a kid, I was like really into collecting bugs. It's like it was just and it was just categorically a nerdy fucking thing.
Yeah.
Right? So fucking nerdy, right? But I had brought it into school. I had brought my bugs into school one day, and I had shown the class all these bugs and stuff like that. And I had said oh yeah, and sometimes and I was just like, oh, okay, cool. Like, oh yeah, and they were like nerd, whatever. And then but I had said like, oh, and yeah, like sometimes like the spider will fight the spider. And they were like, what? The fucking fight each other? What? And I kid you not.
You're like,
I was like, yeah. And they were asking me all these questions, like, what? Who wins? Or like, do you ever name them? You like ever have a competition? And I was just like, well, I mean, yeah, like I don't know, like, yeah, just like kind of like going with it, right? And then I kid you not, the next recess, I'm like in my little fucking nerd group, and like, you know, it's like the nerdy kids. And
yeah.
I kid you not, this kid named Jaime is his name, had a worse stutter than me, right? But he dropped it for this. He goes, I look over and I go, I hear a horde of kids. I hear bugs! And I heir a fucking group of kids just rushing towards our area.
Your group of just little nerdies, like, what?
Fucking Viking jocks.
Yeah.
Rushing towards bugs. And they all started collecting bugs to start fighting them and ruining the bug collecting vibe.
Oh, I see what you're
to get
saying.
the bees to fight and all this stuff. And they chewed it all up and ruined, and all the bugs and they did it for like a hot second.
I just picture little Adam like behind this like stampede of like bug destroyers, and you're just picking up a little caterpillar, and you're like,
yeah,
I'm so sorry.
And they smashed them, and it was cool for a second because I was like they were learning from me.
You were the leader of the bugs.
And it was cool for a second, but then I wasn't, because they were more focused on like being harmful to him. That wasn't cool, right?
Destroying your thing that you are enjoying.
Yeah, and they were focused on a very bad part of it that I did not like. Essentially, the roast comedy of collecting bugs, if you will, is what I'm trying to say. Is what I'm trying to say.
This
you see
good.
the metaphor I'm trying to go for?
I see it coming together.
Okay. The crowd work version of comedy.
I love crowd work. Music that work right now.
Is what I'm trying to say. What do you do for work? I'm an army of ants.
No, if you went to Third Wheel, did you ever go to the crowd work with me in Third Wheel?
Not with you, but I've done it before.
You've done it before, and their crowd work, some of those motherfuckers was, when's the last time you ate ass? And I'm like, that's not crowd work. Okay, anyways, bugs.
But anyway, so like and it ruined the scene.
Aww.
And eventually all the bugs went away. But here's the thing, is that they got bored with it and they left. And eventually I was there back collecting bugs with my nerdy friends.
Doing the thing you loved.
And that is essentially my analogy for the comedy boom, is that these motherfuckers will have fun roasting each other, and it'll be fine, and they'll fucking eat each other up, and it'll be like whatever, but eventually they'll get tired of it and they'll go away. And us real nerds of comedy and fans of comedy will still be here when they're gone. Is what I'm trying to say.
I love that. That's very beautiful.
And I think like right now it's like we're going to get a lot of crazies. There's always going to be mental illness, but because of the boom, it's a lot. But right now, like, I think once the boom is over, hopefully it'll go back.
Hang on as the cat in the tree.
Yeah, exactly.
You can't let these motherfuckers knock you out of the tree. It's okay for us to hang on, because we're not actually hanging on for arbitrary reason. We're hanging on because we truly love this craft.
Exactly.
We're hanging on because we truly want to create, not because we want the Corvette.
Yeah.
That's what I'm like trying to reframe.
Yeah.
Like, we're keeping our hand on the Corvette because we're like, no, I'm not, like, I don't actually want the Corvette. Like, I know how to drive. But
I would do this for a Nissan Sentra.
Exactly. Yeah, I would keep my hand on a bicycle.
Yeah.
If it meant I could move my comedy forward.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of like the league that we're in. I truly believe this. I think there's two types of people in comedy in LA. there are the builders and the gatekeepers. And like the builders will always continue to create because we have an endless resource of like, how can I make this bigger? How can I make my own show? How can I make my own podcast? How can I improve this for my community? And the gatekeepers, they're gatekeepers because they can't create.
Mm-hmm.
They get a hold of something and they have to keep it close to their chest.
Yeah.
And so it's like, we just have to keep being builders.
Yeah. Speaking of building, we have built a beautiful show today.
Yeah.
This has been an amazing show. It's again another different That Was Wild. We'll see where we are at next week, but I'm really enjoying talking about the LA comedy scene. As some of you might know, that I am building my own 1 hour, one person comedy comedy special that is debuting at the Hollywood Fringe Festival. That I am building that, but you also have a show that is actually once a month. That is actually tonight, the day that this podcast airs.
Yeah, 2-year anniversary.
Yes.
We've been doing it for 2 years at the Glendale Room, next to Adam, one of the longest running shows at the Glendale Room.
I think you were there before me, aren't you? Yeah, well, literally 2 years, that'll be, you're hitting.
Yeah, we're like right there together.
Yeah.
So, and Adam's on the show on Monday.
I'll be there tonight.
Yeah, we're going to have a live DJ. We're going to have drinks, for non-alcoholic, alcoholic. We're going to have cake.
Oh my God.
And me and Alina made boobies.
Oh my God.
We like arts and crafts some boobies in a cabbage costume.
Oh my gosh. So the male gaze will be out for sure. But in a good way.
But in a way that's going to traumatize everyone.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Please come out and have a good time. Celebrate community, celebrate.
And the show is called Stuffed Cabbage, correct?
Stuffed Cabbage is the monthly show, but Funky Cabbage
is the open mic.
Yeah, because every joke starts out a little funky.
That's true.
And you gotta work on it.
And it's a good funky time. Have a we all do a little dance and stuff.
We let loose and it's free.
Oh, it's a good mic. I'm there too.
Thank you. Yeah, Adam's there if you ever want to stalk Adam and see him crafting and working on his one-man show.
Yes.
And that's inspiring as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I am like I said, I'm working on my one-man show. It is debuting at the Fringe Comedy Festival at the Yard. It's called Messy Ass, From Asses to Ashes. It's a very fun show. The tickets should be out in this link right now. The deadline for submission is actually this week, but I am officially fully in the festival right now. So you can actually go and buy your tickets. Right now, all the dates are set officially right now. So you can go get them. I'm very excited. A lot of the stuff what we talk about sometimes on this show, guess what, guys? It's been a long con this whole time. I've been working on material this whole time.
That's what a professional does. You never know if we're running material on you.
Yeah, I've been cutting out all the funny stuff. That's why I'm not funny on this show.
Yeah, he's been saving it.
I've been making my other guests funny. That's why you guys aren't fans of me. You're fans of the guests.
No, they're all fans of you. But you are the reason we're funny.
But you can follow me at Adam R. Mack on all the social medias. You can follow this podcast at That Was Wild Pod for some crazy social media clips. Please leave a 5-star review on this podcast. It really helps us out. Please, I love to read these reviews. They really brighten my day. So please go do that. Bethany, we're going to end this podcast like we always do. We'll look down the barrel of this camera right here and say, That Was Wild. You ready?
Yeah, I'm always ready.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
That was wild!